Hello, Kim here. Well, this is the last part of our series, and I'm going to be posting both videos this evening, so they'll be caught up. The last three parts of our series discuss the last three important factors in the fruits of the Spirit. And this ends our 9 fruits of the Spirit. In the coming weeks, I hope to discuss the gifts and offices of those gifts, but right now I'm just discussing the fruits. So I was hoping to have it in a 4 to 5 week course, but I had to condense stuff because of the fact of Rosh Hashanah and the other holidays coming in. So there won't be anything for the next 2 weeks or so, as I said before. I'll keep you informed when I get a new series up. Eventually I will be posting sermons in about 30 days, so hopefully things work out. So we're going to continue where we left off about the 9 gifts of the Spirit. So the next one we're going to discuss is kindness. Kindness, or chray, salt in Greek, is useful, moral, excellent of character and manner, gracious, gentle, goodness, and kind. The fruit of the Spirit is kindness. Kindness is in our world. It is not at high demand. We must look out for others. Kindness is not a weakness or a wimpish in any way. Kindness does not compromise with truth. It also supports the other 2 fruits that we discussed earlier. Kindness stands firm with meaning, and kindness is a sign of greatness. And we see these characteristics both described in Psalms 103, 1 through 18, and Titus 3, 3 through 8. Now, I will let you read those yourself. I've read over it, and pretty much that's what I gleaned from these verses. The next one is kindness, which can be shown to others. Kindness is the best shown to others. Being kinder and gentler in the world helps others, and kindness can change the worldview of things. Again, we see it stated in Titus 3, 4, and 5, Proverbs 14, 21, and 31, Proverbs 19, 17, and Matthew 40 through 42, Mark 9, 33 through 37. It's also shown. I'll let you glean from those verses the necessity of kindness. Kindness is not highly priced anymore in the world. Kindness is costly to do. It costs something to receive something. Kindness is too time-consuming to do. Something that kindness just, don't do it. Don't bend backwards. Kindness must be part of a spirit-filled life at any cost. Kindness equals benevolence, sympathy, and generosity all together. And we will be discussing generosity here and self-control. Kindness is in high demand, but few practice it, and it is costly when you don't practice it, and it is costly when you do. Kindness in God's eyes is costly. So when you do it, it's going to cost you something in the end, but you reap the rewards by feeling good about yourself being kind. And we see this in Mark 9:35. The long-term benefits of kindness. You can tell a person's character by their kindness. Deeds of kindness have a living effect years beyond the act. And we see this in Ruth 1 and 2, which it gives an example, as the kinsman, redeemer, or the goel. In Ruth 1, 16 through 17, it talks about Boaz being the kinsman redeemer. And it's a similar example as Yeshua's kindness to us through salvation. He becomes our goel, or our kinsman redeemer. The Hebrew word for the kinsman redeemer is goel, which means an obligation in relation to a family, or to secure one in kindness of a family. The kinsmen were the redeemers of the family by kindness. This is in Leviticus 25:25, Numbers 5:6, Ruth 3 and 4, Ruth 4:16, 17, and 17 through 22. It's described. The harvest of kindness of others. The act of kindness reaps rewards later. And the act of kindness goes beyond earth to heaven and eternal rewards. Time and kindness has never been better. We see this in 2 Samuel 9, 1 through 13, and we see this in 2 Samuel 20, 12 through 17, with David when he took in his friend's family. In summary, kindness to others really reaps rewards later. The more you give, the more you gain. Kindness brings gentleness growth in one's life. We see this in Isaiah 40:11. One who is heartless, thoughtless, abusive, and cruel to others ruins more than one's life. He ruins other people's lives as well. Being kind and reaping it from the oncoming of reaping kindness. So if you don't show kindness, you reap bad rewards. If you show kindness, you reap the rewards of God. Anyway, give and take. You decide. So, now we're going to go to our next fruit. The 9 fruits of the Spirit, gentleness. Gentleness goes hand in hand with peace. It also goes with kindness. Gentleness, or probatus, is in Greek. It means gentle, mild, meek, to be in worth of grace of the soul. The fruit of the Spirit is gentleness. Gentleness is not a weakness, believe you me. One who is truly meek in life is powered by the breath of God. Yeshua himself was gentle and humble in heart. We see this in Matthew 11:29 and 1 Peter 3:4, as it describes it. A predication given was of a wild mustang being tamed for riding. They were meek and gentle after riding. This was in the book. A pre-tincture of riding the horses, it has to be broke. Well, a mustang is very hard to break, but yet if over time it lets a human come to it, it gets gentle. Gentleness or meekness is followed by being humble. Gentleness or meekness with humility makes one tough, free, and confident kind of characteristic. This starts with our attitude with God and Yahweh, then shows to man. With a gentle spirit is a quiet spirit. Gentleness is not being a wimp. A person who is gentle or meek in God has an inner spirit that conforms to his character. Jesus was both gentle and meek. We see this in Matthew 21, 1 through 17, and Revelation 7, 9. Gentleness in leadership, a biggie. You have a lot of church leaders that sometimes can be a little poignant, I might say. The number one thing taught in society is aggression, standing for one's rights, speaking out. Don't be a wallflower. They consider gentleness and kindness as wallflowers. Jesus teaches on the subject of auspicious living, being gentle and meek. This is out of date. In modern society, gentleness and meekness are not desirable traits to have. We are taught to think that blessings are those who have enough to it or are tough to it. The real blessing is when we do not conform to the world. Gentleness is not something taught, but we have to teach it to ourselves. We see this in Philippians 4, 4 through 7, and Numbers 1, 1 through 6. Gentleness with others. Gentleness and meekness are confused with kindness. Eek! Kindness is a trait that you show goodwill to people, you love people, you take care of people. Gentleness is a little bit different. It's being gentle in your actions and not being aggressive. So it's like me going like la 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 at somebody, and that person, it rubs off on that person and it hurts that person internally. They develop a opinion because of my anger, that I'm angry at everybody and the whole world. Where a person that is gentle with a person in nature, in speaking and tongue, reaps rewards in the fact they earn trust of others. This is a more of an outward quality or deed of gentleness. The actual type Jesus was talking to was the spirit of meekness and gentleness. In 1 Corinthians 4:21, it talks about gentleness as being a rod of the spirit of gentleness. In Galatians 6:1, he talks about breath restoring the gentleness in man. It also is described in 1 Peter 3:4, Isaiah 53:7, Matthew 12:6-21, and Hosea 6:6. Matthew 11:28-29, and Jeremiah 6:16, it talks about gentleness of the law in the heart. To be true to one must start with the heart. You must affirm it in the heart, both gentleness and meekness. So it has to be affirmed. Gentleness in the word we speak. Gentleness in the word we speak. Words said in hurt are hard to take back. Spiteful words are weapons that can cut to the soul. We must instead use gentleness and meekness to heed and boost up one another with gentleness. This is in Proverbs 15:1-4. A healing tongue is the tree of life. Okay? In Proverbs 25:11-15, someone who claiming something they don't have, in other words, lying and then saying they don't have that, you don't want to do that. And then in Matthew 11:28-30, Yeshua addresses the same issues. Gentleness and power. Gentleness of power. There are not many people in society who are gentle and their power is not corrupted. True power comes from being gentle or meek to others. Jesus had this power through being gentle and meek. Greatest test for us is to be observe gentleness and the power it has. Gentleness is never a weakness. It requires inner strength. Gentleness is really strength under control. And this is seen in James 3:13-18, and 2 Corinthians 10:1-11. In summary, gentleness is a strong force in the world. Meekness is an overcomer. Meekness is a conquering force beside gentleness. Both of these are marked in our saved lives. And we see this in 1 Thessalonians 2:7, Romans 15:1, 2 Timothy 2:24, James 3:17, 1 Peter 3-15, Psalms 37:11, Psalms 149:4, Isaiah 40:11, and Ephesians 4:1-2, and also in Deuteronomy 22:6, where he talks about picking up a bird nest gently. So our next and final fruit that we will discuss that ends the series, which I've been waiting for this one because I really love it. The final fruit of the 9 fruits of the Spirit is faithfulness, or pistos in Greek. To be trusted, reliable, believing, to be counted at will, real time, affirms passiveness or persuasion, and faithfulness. The fruit of the Spirit is faithfulness. Faithfulness is a standing fast, steadfast, loyal, or devoted, trying to content, reliable, unwavering, trustworthy, dependable, resolved, honest, punctual, and steady. Faith is also called the fidelity, endurance, firm, and posed on toughness. Faith is a positive, active attribute of a character. Faith is seen in how we work our lives and our actions to others. God shows this through Yeshua and how he cares for those around him and his relationship with his followers. This is in Hebrews 11:1-40, and Matthew 23:35. Faith being the foundation of how we believe and act upon. Faith is an undefiled power, undefinable power that makes things move. When is there no faith? Faith is vital. part of the human being. Other Otherwise, society can collapse. So, without faith, society can go kapooky. Countless actions count on depending on the faithfulness of others. Faith is based on trust. A lack of faith and faithfulness can cause a bad relationship and so on. Jesus is always faithful in the little things to you, and can we be faithful back? And we see this in Hebrews 11:6, Malachi 2:10 through 17, and Malachi 3, 13 through 18. God promised to support us. In Joshua 1:9, summarizing up, God is faithful even on little matters. He has never changed and is always the same. He is faithful in supporting us, and this was in Joshua again 1 through 9. God promises to be there. God is like a soldier, always standing, ready to help us. God's faithful promises is He would never leave us and never forsake us. In this, we learn to be faithful in being steady, constantly, and one of gentle faith. This is in Lamentations 3:19 and 29, and Ruth, believe it or not, 1 through 22. Ruth 1 through 22. The rewards of faithfulness. And we see this in Lamentations 3:22, 23, Matthew 25:29, Proverbs 3:3, and Psalms 89:1 and 2. Faith being talented, and talents being breeding faith. Jesus was very faithful unto the cross. Okay, and we see this in Matthew 24:14 through 30, where He dies on the cross. He was faithful unto the cross. Even after praying, He was still faithful to God's will. In summary, everything we have is given in trust by God. In faith, what have we done with what we have been given? That's the question. Use your gifts in faith to help others. Because if you don't use it, you could lose it. Faithfulness and faith go hand in hand with gifts. Use it to make the world a better place with God in it. And that ends the series. Well, not really. We got one more. Sorry for hitting it. The last and final fruit of the Spirit, 9 fruits of the Spirit, is goodness, agboth, which is in Greek a person being good in character or constitution, will be beneficial in its effect on others. The fruit of goodness. Goodness has fallen on bad times in our society today. It gets a bad connotation. Being good is looked at as being an wimpish or weak. Goodness is looked at as being less than perfect. We like to think goodness is what we do for others. Good or goodness is, in Yahweh's eyes, is love in action. Love with its hands to the plow. In other words, teaching others of His will. Goodness is following God's footsteps and loving Him. This is in Psalms 105. What is a good thing? Good things is touching others, loving others, and so on. Goodness is hands-on, up close and personal performance. This is seen in Acts 10:38. Yeshua went doing good without cost or danger. He sought out those in need of His goodness. Goodness is the light of the Word. Acts 10:37 through 38, and Matthew 19:16 through 30. A good king in action. The greatest test of goodness is not in great things, but small things. This is in Psalms 105 again. Goodness in life is an action for others. This is in 2 Chronicles 34, 1 through 7, and 2 Chronicles 34, 14 through 33. The struggle between good and evil. In Romans 12:21, we see goodness must be part of our lifestyle. We we will have to struggle with it, and we must let goodness transform us also into the image of Jesus. This is in Romans 12:21 also, Romans 7:14, Romans 8:8, Romans 12:9 and 21, Romans 7:8 also. The good lifestyle. Goodness must be developed by discipline and practice. We must mature in goodness. Goodness is an action people respond well to. This is in Matthew 5:14 through 16, 3 through 11 also. So in summary, be kinder with goodness. The goodness must be our highest goal. Make it as part of our calling. We must be good to others. Do not let evil overrun you, but overrun evil with goodness. And this is in Matthew 12:33 through 35. So there is a final ending. Oh, no, it's not the final ending, sorry. We've got one more in this 20-minute period, so I was wrong. That ends goodness anyway. The final, let me check here for a few minutes. So our final gift of the Spirit that wraps up the series. Okay, good. We already got 3 pages, so I wanted to make sure. The final 9 gifts of the Spirit is self-control, which is absolutely important. It's what they call enkinra or enkinros. In Greek, it means infused with, or the in means infused with, and the last means vigor, dominion, power. It means strength or having great force within, in or under control. The spirit of the fruit is self-control. Self-control is an ability to live with restraint. Society tells us to let it all hang out or do our own thing and be free from restraint. Not good. Self-control, if we are restrained or controlled, we do not abuse others. Point in chat. Self-control is a very high form of worship because we are living in Jesus' commands. Self-control plays a role in maturing us in our walk with Jesus. This is in 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 27. Self-control is putting of what makes life easier, making good decisions in life, enveloping proper use of freedom, or developing. Evolving is what they use, but it's developing. Controlling the tongue and the body. Eek. Getting down with self-control. We must look at life in a free society without restraints and living as a child of Jesus. We must look at self-will in undepictable children and the disciples' lifestyle with Jesus. This is in James 3:1 through 12 and 1 Corinthians 6:12 through 30. Controlling our passions and possessions. We must use self-control in controlling our passions. We must use self-control in controlling our possessions. This is in Titus 2:11 and 12, James 4:1 through 10, and 1 Timothy 6:6 through 10, and 17 through 19. The man who lost self-control and lost it all. Self-control helps us from falling into sin. Self-control is a lifestyle prevents the devil from getting our guard down. We must use self-control as we move higher in life. We must have self-control to overcome the adversary. This is in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 8 and Judges 6:1 through 31. Or Judges 16:1 through 31. The man who rules himself and a kingdom. The positive side of self-control is when things aren't right for you, or right for use, and we do not indulge. Self-control requires self-discipline for things to happen, and self-control is not pleasant, but rewards are reaped later. And this is in Daniel 1:1 through 21. So in summary, here's what we see. Self-control is a daily doggy disciple. Undisciplined believers are non-productive in life. Self-control and discipline at the end of brings rewards. To honor Jesus, we must use self-control in order to bring honor to Him. The final character in self-control is self-discipline, temperance, restraint, and direct focus. It is a crown of all the 9 fruits of the Spirit, as is stated in 2 Timothy 4:4-8. So, finally, we end the series. Sorry about the post thing. I thought I had less than that. So, this ends our series on the fruits of the 9 gifts of the Spirit, or the 9 fruits of the Spirit. As I said, it'll be a couple weeks before I get anything else out, so I might post one video this week and post this one for the next, so, or just do it at one time. Said I'm running a little late, so I might just put it up and let it go like that. But this ends our series. I ended it a little early. I need a couple weeks rest along with communing with God, so as I said, this month is very busy. I've had Rosh Hashanah, I've got Yom Kippur coming up, and then we've also got Sukkot. So I honor Sukkot in my way. I don't go by traditional ways, so what the heck. And as I said, Shabbat's coming up again, so I'm going to enjoy that. Maybe one day I'll invite you back into my home for Shabbat alone, and we'll do a Shabbat reading. So I'm going to end tonight. We've already did our prayers, so I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom and Shalom Aleichem. So you have a wonderful evening and enjoy the series. And I really enjoyed discussing things. As I said, I eventually will have a website up, and you can also contact me about Impact Church and the things going on there. I will post a video this Sunday for that, so more power to you. As I say, may God bless you, keep you, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem and Israel. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.